This time for sure. Famous last words. Nah, we're going to do it right. Second time's always better. Plus, I got tea. I got generic Rice Krispies. This time it's going to work. Oh, yeah. We're in the right YouTube this time. Check it out. We're in the right YouTube. It's happening now. Oh, I'm messing up my perfectly placed like button. No. Not the like button. There it is. One like. There we go. I'm in the right YouTube this time. All right, we were reading from the Devil's Dictionary by Ambrose Bierce. Fortunately, it's so good, you can just flip randomly into it. Well, that's way too long. I'm not reading that. Destiny. A tyrant's authority for crime and a fool's excuse for failure. Let's try. These are some long ones in here. Let's try. Oh boy, he's got a lot on insurance. Insurance. An ingenious modern game of chance in which the player is permitted to enjoy the comfortable conviction that he is beating the man who keeps the table. Oh, man, and he's got a whole conversation with the homeowner and the insurance agent. It goes on and on. I'll let you go. But let's see. We're still reading the Devil's Dictionary by Ambrose Bierce, getting the show warmed up. We started the show previously, but it was on the wrong YouTube channel. See, now we have live stream or restreamer or something. We have to set it to go to the right YouTube, not the wrong YouTube. So we've got 14 people watching. We've got 7 likes. That's a 50% like ratio. But we're just warming up the show. Like, no one's here yet. It's on Twitter. It's on Facebook. You guys have Facebook? Sparing no expense on Restream here with the hopes that more people on Facebook and Twitter will watch the show. So now you can be in YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter. So let me know if that's a thing worth doing. Because, yeah, we're sparing no expense every month with Restream. But let's go for another Devil's Dictionary or two here. Here we go. Let's see. Oh, boy. Here we go. Dog. A kind of additional or subsidiary deity designed to catch the overflow and surplus of the world's worship. This divine being in some of his smaller and silkier incarnation takes, in the affection of woman, the place to which there is no human male aspirant. The dog is a survival, an anachronism. He toils not, neither does he spin. Yet Solomon in all his glory never lay upon a doormat all day long, sun-soaked and fly-fed and fat, while his master worked for the means wherewith to purchase an idle wag of the Solomonic tale, seasoned with a look of tolerant recognition. Ooh. Let's try a couple more. Miscreant, a person of the highest degree of unworth. Etymology, the word means unbeliever, and its present signification may be regarded as theology's noblest contribution to the development of our language. Miscreant. He doesn't like it. Humanity, the human race, collectively, exclusive of the anthropoid poets. Let's see. Hyena, a beast held in reverence by some Oriental nations from its habit of frequenting at night the burial places of the dead. But the medical student does that. Let's see. Gargoyle, a rain spout projecting from the eaves of medieval buildings, commonly fashioned into a grotesque caricature of some personal enemy of the architect or owner of the building. This was especially the case in churches and ecclesiastical structures generally, in which the gargoyles presented a perfect rogues gallery of local heretics and controversialists. Sometimes, when a new dean and chapter were installed, the old gargoyles were removed and others substituted, having a closer relation to the private animosities of the new incumbents. All right, we got 10 likes. We're going to start the show. Good morning, Bitcoin. Today is Friday, March 20th, 2020. That's a lot of 20s. And this is the Thomas Hunt Show. I'm Thomas Hunt. Moving on, the price of Bitcoin is up 5.7% in the last 24 hours, with a last of 6,548, a high of 6,927, and a low of 6,088. That's $1 for 15,251 Satoshis, very close to the 15,000 Satoshi barrier. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is currently down 1.2% in the last 24 hours. Checking out the Dow, the previous close was 20,087. Currently, the Dow is at 19,814, having started off up to 20,432, fallen down to 19,888, climbed all the way back up to 20,000. Looks about 508, fallen down to 19,991, back up just above the line, and now about midday in trading, it seems to be trading about down 1.2, 1.3%, likely because California closed its everything just like Nevada the previous day. So we are continuing to see the effects of the coronavirus. I've got 12 likes and the button's too big. We need more likes to make the button bigger. Like this show. Thanks so much. It helps more people find the show. Checking out coronavirus cases. Here we are. Let's see. No, that's not the one we want. We're looking for more of a drum roll, but we don't have that, so not so good. But here we go. Let's refresh the page. Okay, it only went up just a little bit in the last few minutes. Coronavirus cases worldwide, 258,839, 10,544 deaths. For those of you keeping track of this, it seems to be doubling about every 7 days. So in 7 days, this would be 500,000 infected and 20,000 dead. Estimate. That's why you should stay the fuck home. Stay the fuck home. Thank you. And like this show. Liking this show helps more people find this show, more people finding the show, more people in the chat, more people calling in, longer shows, better shows, more shows. Like the show. The Fed application, will it load? Let's drink some tea. Everyone have their tea at home? It's a little slower to load the Fed today. We're getting a little bogged down. As you can see, the Federal Reserve game with myself, Satoshi Nakamoto, as chairman in reserve, we have now printed, that's million, that's trillion. We've printed $10 trillion. Excellent. Let's get a few more prints in there. And of course, now that we are so rich with our $10 trillion in reward, we can really go shopping over here at the store. Sure, we could get a rubber stamp, a couple of accountants, maybe a money press or two. Let's get some bribes, right? Don't want to, not have bribes. But what about the mint? Okay, so we got some mints. And now that things are really cooking, we're really printing some money now. Let's get some espionage, a black op, and a proper propaganda campaign. Nice. Hey, the propaganda campaign was so successful, we're now able to commit insurance fraud and hire a Russian oligarch. All right, we're doing really well. Let's print some more money. We're up, let's see, dollars, thousands, millions, trillions. We have 36 billion, right? Million, billion. We don't even have a trillion yet. They should put the little numbers on here. But yeah, millions here, billion. We have $70 billion that we've printed. We are working it. We are saving up. What are we going to get? What are we going to get? We are the Federal Reserve. All right, not only can we get a Russian oligarch, we can invade North Korea. So let's give that a shot. We can invade Cuba. Cool. We got to save up to get a commercial bank. What do you think? Are you guys interested in this? Should we continue being the Federal Reserve Chairman? We're printing more money. We're printing more money. It's going pretty well. You guys are pushing the like button. I'm pushing the print button. We are the Federal Reserve. Commercial bank. Nice. Hey, invade Iran. Why not? Invade Iran again? Well, once was good. I mean, twice is better. Tech company. All right, we'll buy a tech company. Hey, we got like Google. Wow. Invading Iran. There's a lot of oil there. So you can see we're up to, looks like we're into the trillions. I think we're at 18, 19, 21 trillion. We're really kicking it. This is thefed.app, where you can be the Federal Reserve Chairman. Check it out, thefed.app. I'm Satoshi Nakamoto, and I'm in charge of printing the money now. As you can see, I'm really, really good at it. I'm going to print more money. So let's see what else I can buy. It's like SimCity, but you can only buy evil. Ooh, Apple. Apple is now for sale. Cool. Get me some Apple. Get me some Google. It doesn't seem like I want more things. I think we might have beat the game. Donald Trump says, Satoshi Nakamoto is doing a great job. I'm very proud of them. Their predecessor, Little Jerome, didn't have the mental capacity needed. He was dumb as a dog, and I couldn't get rid of him fast enough. He was lazy as hell. Now it's a whole new ball game. Great spirit at the Fed. So it looks like we're up to $200 trillion. Still printing. And I don't think we can buy anything except more tech companies and more Iran. Got a lot more Irans. I mean, maybe there's an end if we like buy everything. Wow, we're buying all the banks. So if you print enough money, you can just buy anything. Like, that's what I'm learning from this game. You guys loving this? I like printing this money. I'm going to come back later, see if we unlock anything else. We'll keep this money rolling. Maybe I should do a little live thing. That'd be fun. We'll keep it going. Checking out the coronavirus, this great article from the Washington Post. I really like showing it. It helps me visualize and understand epidemiology, which normally we think of in the Bitcoin and in the marketing type space about positively. We think, oh, we spread the word, we got the word out. But as you can see here, the word is death. And if we stay outside and we bounce into each other, as you can see here, we all get the virus. We get the virus quickly. We overwhelm the healthcare systems, and it's all bad. So what we really want to do is not a half quarantine, not some quarantine, but we want like a total quarantine. We want everyone to stay home. So here's an example of everyone staying home. You see the virus, it's spreading much less. A lot of people aren't getting it. It's just those people going outside, bumping into some random people here and there. This way, the hospitals aren't overwhelmed, which, I mean, it's unlikely we're going to prevent that, but let's do the best we can. Let's stay home. All right, let's keep going. The ultimate medical hackathon. How fast can we design and deploy an open source ventilator? Do you like 3D printing? Are you into gadgets? It's time to you to volunteer to build an open source ventilator. All you can do is save humanity. That's all you get. Coronavirus cases in the United States. Here comes the big refresh. Oh, it just went from 14 to 16. That doesn't make me feel good. Coronavirus cases in the United States, 16,000. Deaths, 219. It was about 10,000, seems like yesterday. If it goes to 20,000, previous doubling rate was around every 3 days. Given that it went from 10 to 16 in half a day or a day here, it's very possible that we see it double in 2 days instead of 3 days, which would mean that it's accelerating. So likely accelerating in the United States. Remember, we're watching for, we do not want exponential growth. We're the anti-tech company these days. We don't want to go viral. We want to stay non-viral. So the green line is going viral, straight up like an S curve. Linear is a nice red line, and geometric is the blue line. So we don't want viral. This is our enemy, the coronavirus. I heard on the Amazon Jeopardy app this morning that the coronavirus was named after the corona of the sun. So much like the sun, who one day will destroy the planet and everything, so too must we fight the coronavirus. And we fight it by staying home. And it's not very glamorous. It's not very fun. You can't go to any movie theaters. You can't go out. Got to stay home. So, no fun. Checking out what's been happening on Twitter in the last 24 hours since we were boiled like frogs in a pot. And things were starting to get hot. We've got a new interview on the World Crypto Network. Check out Crypto Katia. She's helping out Trezor with the marketing. Trezor's a very cool crypto hardware wallet that you can get to store your Bitcoins in. And we met Katia at the Lightning Conference in Berlin. Very cool. Check out our interview with Katia. We also have another one with Aaron Van Weerdum from Bitcoin Magazine. So check that out on the World Crypto Network right here down below the place that you're at. OAN reporter asked a bonkers softball question at Trump. She was talking about her opening was something like, is Chinese food offensive because Chinese food comes from China? And of course, Trump, took it and he's like, yeah, of course it's not. And then she asked about if the media was spreading Chinese and some kind of other rebel propaganda. It was a real heck of a question. We could play it. I don't know if I want. It's kind of political. Basically, she's from OAN News, and that's only in name only news. In name only news. Oh, the Daily Beast needs to pop up things.
Case, unfortunately.
Ooh, loud, Mr.
But
Trump.
no, people that don't show symptoms and people that have doctors that say they shouldn't get it, I would rely on that.
This is live.
I would rely on that.
Mr. President, thank you. Mr. President, thank you.
Here we go.
I have two questions. Do you consider the term Chinese?
OAN.
Yes, sir.
Very good.
I have
Thank you
two
very
questions.
much. You treat me very nicely.
Do
Go
you
ahead.
consider the term Chinese food racist because it's food that originates in China or it has Chinese?
No, I don't think it's
And on
racist.
that note,
I don't think it's racist at all.
on that note, major left-wing news media, even in this room, have teamed up with Chinese Communist Party narratives, and they're claiming you're racist for making these claims about Chinese virus. Is it alarming that major media players just to oppose you are consistently siding with foreign state propaganda, Islamic radicals, and Latin gangs and cartels, and they work right here at the White House with direct access to you and your team?
It amazes me when I read the things that I read. It amazes me when I read the Wall Street Journal, which is always so negative. It amazes me when I read the New York Times.
It amazes me when she asks that question. That was great. So yeah, are you aware that the left-wing media? It's just such a bizarre question, such a kind of an obvious softball. I mean, clearly she and Trump are in agreement. They're on the same team. The way he greets her is beautiful. OAN. Oh, I like you. I like you. So it was not a great moment. And the opening on Chinese food and the basic thing on this, and obviously we're saying it without saying. I mean, we're talking about there's a negative word for the flu it's not even a flu. Flu is bullshit. There's a negative word for the virus, the killer death virus going around, where people are calling it Kung flu and so on and so forth. And the problem with a term like this is that it's just a slippery slope. And sure, we can discuss it here as words and ideas. Clearly, we're at a meta level, but other people hear it and they think, hey, that's okay. That's okay to say. Then it drips down, and then you have somebody beating somebody else up on the street because they're Chinese or because they're Asian. I mean, we had, after 9/11, people who were Sikhs were beat up because they were taken as Arabs, all kinds of other things, even beating up Arab people or Arabic descent people after 9/11 is not acceptable. All these things, that's why we don't have racism. That's why we don't have this thing, and it's just really weird. I mean, a couple of times I think he slipped up and he said Chinese flu or Chinese virus, but then he loves to have an enemy. He loves to have something to unite against, and he's just uniting against the media here, who are just reporting on what he's saying and the potential damages of it. And then he had that thing where he edited his speech to write it in there, and the reporter took a picture of it. Now we all know it looks Oh, it looks really bad when he's editing the speech. It looks like someone crossing something else out and putting an N word or something, and it has a horrible feeling to it. But yeah, that's the Chinese flu and the Kung flu issue that we're having going on. You can have a political opinion on that either way, but no, I'm not a fan. That's a weird question, huh? We've got Senator Burr received private briefings about the coronavirus weeks ago. He knew how bad it would be. He told the truth to his wealthy donors while assuring the public that we were fine. Then he sold $1.6 million worth of stock before the fall. I'm agreeing with, you guys don't like her, so I'm going to hide her name, but I'm agreeing with AOC. Don't say her name here, but yeah, people should not be hearing private government information, not warning or protecting their people, having a private meeting amongst donors to tell them, and then going home to sell their stock. It's bad business. It's Republican or Democrat. It's no good. And I've heard the report that Dianne Feinstein may be caught up in this as well. I want to investigate each case as they come up. What I know so far about the Feinstein case is that they sold a company that went up in value. So, I mean, yes, I think that, movements of stock and so forth must be monitored for government officials. That's part of being in the Senate. You get inside information. You're not supposed to do insider trading. The problem with the Republicans here is it doesn't look like they sold stocks that went up. It looks like they sold stocks that went down. But in general, no one should be acting on their insider information, and that's why we track them and so forth. Here we go. Sam Harris, the classic religious, not anti-religious, but religious discussion author. Sam Harris writes, pretending that outrage over the incompetence and dishonesty of this administration is a symptom of political partisanship is itself the ugliest form of partisanship. There is nothing partisan about wanting to avoid mass death and economic collapse. There you go. Check this out. I know you guys will love this. GameStop says that they need to stay open during the lockdowns because they're essential retail. This is so sad. I wish I was making it up. As you guys know, GameStop, for a long time, the pawn shop of the video game industry, kind of a valid and a vital use when everyone was dependent on cartridges and discs, right? You'd go to GameStop, you'd trade in some old games, you'd get some new games. It worked for everyone, right? It was a cool thing. Well, they spread out too much, and there's way too many GameStops, and the cartridges are starting to dry out. I know my favorite game, I told you guys the other day, and I'm not proud of it, but obviously my favorite game on the iPhone is moving around the icons. I love that one. And my favorite game on the Nintendo Switch is buying new games on the Nintendo Switch. So this is a real problem for GameStop because I'm probably not going to go there to ever buy a Switch game. But they need to stay open during the lockdown because they are essential. We need GameStop. They are helping people distract themselves, helping people stay home. Their selling of the important video games, which might have the virus on them, is something that you need. So they're just they've been in trouble business-wise for a long time. And basically what they're saying here is we need to stay open during the virus or we're going to go out of business. And that doesn't make you essential. I'm sorry, GameStop. It was a cool time. You could go to a video game store and buy used games, but maybe not in the future. Robert Reich. Right. So to review, Republican Senator Richard Byrne warned only his rich constituents about the severity of coronavirus, then sold $1.5 million in stock right before the market nosedived, all while falling in line behind Trump and assuring the public that everything was under control. A new low. It really is. It's a sad story. I wish it wasn't true. I wish it wasn't happening. I wish it wasn't Republican or Democrat or whatever kind of frame we're going to try to see this through. But basically, a couple of senators got the inside information, sold their stock early, didn't tell their people, and told some of their people privately who paid. So just not a fan of what that is. Drinking my tea. Yeah, this is a sad story as well. We're continuing the sad stories. Here's a distraction. This is the king from the Lewis Chessmen. I got this one in Scotland. Oops, there goes the keyboard, the loudest noise in the world. But yes, this is the Scottish edition. I got this in Edinburgh in Scotland and at the fantastic Museum of Scotland there. And this version is different than the English version. The Scottish versions look more weathered. The English versions from the British Museum are smoother. This is the king. So there you go. There's your distraction. Now, the CEO of Cirque du Soleil laid off around 4,900 people, 95% of Cirque du Soleil, via video chat in less than 2 minutes. It's so much for Cirque du Soleil, so much for Las Vegas. We used to have some cool shows, and I hope we'll have some cool shows in the future. Personally, I never went to a Cirque du Soleil show. They were like $80 a piece, so I didn't go. But I think it's cool, and I think it's super sad that all these people got fired this way. I'm sure the business had no choice, much like GameStop. We're talking about Cirque du Soleil was already in trouble, already not selling enough tickets. They kind of saturated. Every casino in Las Vegas had a Cirque du Soleil. It wasn't as special as it used to be, but I don't know what's going to top it. I don't know what made it so great. I never saw it, but it's canceled now. So let's just keep moving. In addition to Senator Burr, Senator Loeffler also dumped millions in stocks. He was about 2.5 million. She's rumored to have upwards of, I want to say it was 50. It might have been $500 million. But she needed more. When she was told about the coronavirus and that it was really bad and going to wreck our markets, she went and sold her personal stock and didn't tell her people, didn't attempt to pass bills to improve the situation. It's a sad story out there. And last night, 14 hours ago, California Governor Gavin Newsom announced a statewide closure for California. People should stay home amongst the coronavirus update. Let's see what he said.
We need to bend the curve in the state of California. And in order to do that, we need to recognize the reality. The fact is, the experience we're having on the ground throughout the state of California, the experience that's manifesting all across the United States, and for that matter, around the rest of the world, requires to adjust our thinking and to adjust our activities. In the state of California, many people
That's
are
nice.
very
They turned on his mic.
with these adjustments. A number of days ago, there were 6 Bay Area counties that led with stay-at-home orders. Now, as I speak, some 21.3 million Californians reside in a community, in a city and or county that have similar orders. A state as large as ours, a nation state, is many parts, but at the end of the day, we're one body. There's a mutuality and there's a recognition of our interdependence that requires of this moment that we direct a statewide order for people to stay at home. That directive goes into force and effect this evening, and we are confident that the people of the state of California will abide by it. They'll do the right thing. They'll meet this moment. They'll step up, as they have over the course of the last number of weeks, to protect themselves, to protect their families, and to protect the broader community in this great state in the world that we reside in. I have confidence in that. I have confidence because I've seen it every single day. We've seen it in cities large and small. People still doing essential work. People still providing essential services. People still going out to the grocery store to get food, walking their dogs, practicing social distancing, nonetheless, when they're out in the streets. People still getting their medicine. People still going about doing the kind of essential work that is required to meet this moment. The order provides for all of that.
And there it is. California is closed, joining Nevada, the National Basketball Association, and others in shutting down completely. As I'm sure you've noticed, the bizarre piecemeal individual response to this crisis. Nevada closing first, California closing next, several other states not closed yet. We have no central leadership. We have no national government. This is the largest crisis in American history. And in addition to this crisis, we're also having a crisis of government, and we're having an oil crisis as well, because the Saudis are driving the price to $20. So kind of a lot's happening right now. Did you know? The Scottish version of the Lewis chessman, in addition to being more scored and damaged looking, it is possible that the king's sitting on the stone of scone as well. I would agree with that theory, that idea. They also have cool felt bottoms, better than the British Museum. So if you're going to get your Lewis chessman, I would suggest going all the way to Scotland, not just stopping in London. Let's go to both. And let's keep rolling back to the news. China has started installing holographic buttons to combat current and future disease spreading. Sounds stupid at first, but when you actually watch it and you actually think about it, once again, they're ahead of the curve here. No one's going to want to touch anything anymore, even elevator buttons. They had a tweet down below. Someone said that the Italian version, and they had like a lighter with a paperclip on it or something like that, which is good, but you still, as sad as it is, viruses are really good. They grow on things. They might infect your lighter with a paperclip, which you'd have to dispose of every time. So you got to have these hologram buttons. This is the way of the future. No one wants to touch anything. No one wants to be near anyone. It's Gattaca, baby. It's all the creepy sci-fi that we shouldn't have watched has all come true. But let's go back to Balaji, the world's angriest man. He saw this first. He was furious that the media was mocking the tech bros who had decided to start fist bumping and to stop handshakes because of early fears of the coronavirus and because they probably didn't like touching people's hands anyway. And he was mad about that. He's been right about the virus, and now he's like an angry, vengeful, virus-filled god. But in this way, I completely agreed with Mr. Balaji. He was right on here. He says, and he's talking about the California situation. So here, get your libertarian hat on. Get ready to disagree with quarantines. Balaji says, to reiterate, lockdown without scaled testing will not achieve desired ends. Number one, the virus is inevitable. Number one, the virus is invisible. Testing makes it visible. Use a graduation of tests, thermometer, CT, PCR. Identify red and green zones with high and low virus percentages. Let people in green zones out of lockdown. And he's talking about a way that our society could continue if only we had these tests. If only we had these tests that they offered to us and we wouldn't take because we wanted to make our own version so we could profit. Yay, profit. And that we didn't prepare, that we didn't tell people in advance, that we thought it was no big deal. We were in some kind of bizarre belief this would stay in China. Not myself personally, but the government was for some reason. I can't figure out why. But yes, if we had the testing, we could do what Mr. Balaji says. We could test everyone. In absence of testing, which is what we have now in the United States, our best hope is actually to stay home. So it's one of those, the quarantine is your seatbelt. Yes, the government's forcing you to wear your seatbelt, but if you don't wear your seatbelt, you're going to fly through the windshield. And the windshield doesn't care if you like the government or you like to be forced or you don't like to be forced or your safe word was windshield. It doesn't care at all. So much like the virus, the windshield, they don't care. So let's keep going. What else is going on? A number of confirmed cases, more Balaji. He says, also, we don't know if the lockdown is working to bend the curve without scaled testing. We don't know when to let people out of lockdown without testing. Extended lockdown causes mass unemployment and bankruptcy. So, yowza. And he's pretty much right on the last one. That's why we need universal basic income so badly, not only now, but in the general crisis of robotics and jobs going away. We need to stand up for people. We need to say, hey, humans are worth something. Humans are interesting. Basically, if you think about this as a simulation, and we're always down to further extend and discuss simulation theory. But if we think about this as a simulation, and sir, I read that book Fall by Neil Stephenson. I told you it was fail a bunch of times, but that's pretty close to Fall. And in Fall, they have these people who recreate themselves in the computer. And if you think about it at first, there's only one person in the computer. That's pretty boring for the computer, right? The computer is doing all this work to simulate one boring person that has a certain number of decisions they can make, but it's very limited. Think about 10 people in the simulation. Think about 100 people in the simulation. Think about 1 million people in the simulation. Sure, it's very difficult for the simulation to manage 1 million people or 1 billion people. It's difficult to feed them and house them and clothe them and have roads, all these kind of things, right? But if the machine could pull it off, think how interesting the data would be. And in the same way with our civilization, where we've grown it haphazardly and in many directions like an out-of-control SimCity, we've developed a lot of people. And I think a lot of value in those people. And I think those people are worth saving. And I think that's going to be our attitude in the future, that this unique data, this contribution of everyone is worth saving, is worth even sacrificing for, even working together for. And again, we're back into the old arguments. But user input is unique and valuable. I think the back of the king's hair looks like octopus or tentacles. It has a nautical look, as though these pieces were designed and carved by pirates or sailors, people of the sea, who found these pieces of ivory, elephant tusks, whales, and so forth. Maybe whale teeth, stuff like that. Let's keep moving. Before the virus outbreak, a cascade of warnings went unheeded. The federal government knew last year that the country was unprepared and underfunded to fight crimson contagion. Another nice way of saying that it's red. The virus is red. And it's nice they didn't say Chinese crimson contagion, despite the beautiful triple alliteration. In Italy, they're calling the coronavirus the apocalypse. The hospitals are hardest hit, as you can see in this picture here below. A mass of people in the rooms, all attached to IVs, presumably needing ventilators. Italy. It's coming here. Not that long. Meanwhile, the Agricultural Department says that they would appeal a judge ruling saying that it would be arbitrary and capricious to move forward during a global health crisis with food stamp changes that could force hundreds of thousands from the program. That's right, even now, as things are bad and maybe getting worse, the Trump administration is working hard to kick people off food stamps. That's great. As Joe Biden says, this administration is truly morally bankrupt. I agree with that. Peter Woolley, I have never seen such a ridiculous promoted tweet. And it's IBM saying that blockchain on the IBM cloud helps everyone from growers to grocers trace food supplies, preventing food waste during recalls. It is pretty bad. I don't know why you'd need blockchain for a database of growers to grocers tracing food supplies. A blockchain is a secure database that can be used by many users who don't have the ability to change the database. So obviously, if the growers or the grocers were hacking the food supplies or representing the data improperly, you would need a blockchain. So seems like a lot of extra computing waste for someone who really just needs a database. But you don't have to take my word for it. Peter Woolley, Bitcoin developer, says, I have never seen such a ridiculous promoted tweet. New York City mayor, a lot of people are going to die who don't have to die. If the president doesn't act within days to maximize production, to get surgical masks, if he doesn't mobilize the U.S. military, people will die. And I don't know about you, but based upon statistics, I can see the future. And in a week or two, there's 100,000 to 200,000 dead in the United States. And I'm sure it's somebody you know. And it's somebody that I know. And it's somebody that we're not thinking of. And there's nothing we can do about it. Even if you call them and have some nice last conversations, which would be good, and you tell them to stay inside and they don't listen, a lot of people are going to die who don't have to die. We have industries that could be building ventilators that could have been building ventilators for the past week. Yes, you have to violate your free market capitalist principles to say, hey, you in the industry, please make a bunch of masks. Make a bunch of ventilators. Do it now. We'll pay you later. We're good for it. Theoretically. That didn't happen. That hasn't happened. It's 10 o'clock West Coast time. We're still waiting for that to happen. It's not just a thing where the businesses are like, oh, one day we decided to stop making cars and start making airplanes. No, they have actual acts of Congress that help the businesses realize that all of their equipment that's great for making cars could also make ventilators. That all their equipment that's great for making clothes could also make masks. That there is something you can do. That there is a job for you in the emergency services that now includes grocery workers. You don't just have to sit at home. You can be part of the war effort. That's what we used to call it. Everyone's forgotten. This country used to be a community, and it used to pull together. And they used to have a thing called victory gardens. And instead of stressing out the food service and all these things and having ridiculous, stupid grass lawns that we mow and provide nothing, we had gardens full of food. We made things at home. We repaired things that broke. And we tried to reduce stress on the system so we could win the war. And everyone, even the people that weren't on the front lines fighting, were part of the war effort. Now, this isn't happening. We don't have any central leadership. We don't have a president right now. No one's up there saying, you clothing companies, welcome to the war effort. You car companies, manufacturers of any kind, welcome to the ventilator effort. Masks and ventilators. Hand sanitizer. Beer companies. Budweiser. This little thing in Scotland, the brew dogs, is kicking the shit out of you, Budweiser. What is wrong with you? Make some hand sanitizer. Oh, people in the chat still don't believe in viruses. All right, well, Crypto Kerbit says that you're all brainwashed and that, I don't know, he doesn't believe in science. So we'll worry about that later. But for now, what's so wrong about making some extra ventilators? What's so wrong about taking these companies who are in deep shit, who want bailouts, and making some extra ventilators? What's so wrong about taking these schools and turning them into hospitals? Do you want to volunteer? When people start to recover, we need to have a program, which is, again, a get out a clipboard, put a list of names on it, have the people show up. This is what they did in China to have the drive-through clinics and so on and so forth. They didn't staff them with soldiers. Everyone has to join together to fight the virus. The virus is real, doesn't care about your politics, doesn't care about your libertarianism. We'll have the debate about if the government went too far to stop the virus after we've stopped the virus. Or, 200,000 dead, 400,000 dead, 800,000 dead. So that's 3 doubles. So as of right now, that's 3 weeks, 21 days. The whole world. So 2, 4, 8, 1.2, 2.5, 5. 5 million's a lot. Let's stop at 5 million. But yeah, this is what we got. Oh, Jeremy's in for getting rid of the schools. Well, you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. We're throwing out quite a lot of bathwater. Did you not like schools? Well, I hope you miss restaurants too. Restaurants, movie theaters, concerts, cruises, airplanes. Again, for me, this is one of those. I don't like it. The trends are continuing to follow me. So let me just briefly explain to you guys. As a computer geek, I've always been a computer geek. So when I got my hands on a computer, say 1986, 1989, that range, I was all about these computers. Then, 10, 15 years later, the whole world's all about these computers. And I got my hands on the internet in 1995, and I was really psyched and got way into it and everything. And then 10 years later, everyone's on the internet. They're all into the internet. Same thing. I find these amazing a way to compress audio files, MP3s. And I'm like, wow, this is amazing. And then 10 years later, the whole internet's into MP3s. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. I find this internet money, and I think it's really cool. We can send around internet money, and it's one way, and no one can stop us. We don't need a central bank or an intermediary. And especially, I like that no one can print it. I think that's pretty cool. So I get way into this internet money, and 10 years later, the whole world's into it. So back in the day, I always used to be into wearing headphones, listening to my own music. And then everyone got iPods and iPhones and cell phones, and they're all into it, right? Sadly, me and my other computer geek friends, because it's not just me, there's millions of other people who love MP3s, who love computers, who love iPhones, who love headphones, all these kind of things, all of these things that we've helped make popular because on one hand they were great, and on the other hand they just happened to fit us, right? You knew that listening to music was the right choice because you could hear what other people were saying. And when you put the music on, at least you couldn't hear them. They're still there. But yes, all of that, all of our chat rooms, and video chat, and internet, and Wi-Fi, all the work that we as computer geeks put in to make the world fit for us. It turns out, because of this virus, you're all going to be forced to be like us. You're going to get to stay home. You're going to get to be a computer geek. You're going to get into video chat. All the people on television, late night talk show hosts, Stephen Colbert, the Jimmys, even the news people, it's slowly starting to happen on CNBC. They're becoming homebodies too. Things we used to make fun of people for, staying home all the time, not wanting to go out, the virus being everywhere, is now becoming real. Now, to the people in the chat who think we're brainwashed, that's great. Downsides if we're brainwashed. Stocked up on a lot of food, stayed inside for a while. Is the government's made up of people. The army's made up of people. I don't believe that these people are just going to, go against us, all these kind of things. I think that they're acting to try to protect us, and in many ways they're not acting, and that they're not talking about it. And that's the big problem. Shout out to Vention, MG Tao in the chat. He's been a prepper for years. He's considering breaking into the powdered eggs. What's funny now, in the same way I was talking about being an antisocial computer geek used to be a fringe group and now is everyone. In the same way, being a prepper, a person who stocks up on food and, has a supply at home and maybe even has a shotgun. The horror. Being a prepper is now cool. Being an antisocial computer geek who happens to have a good supply of books, sadly many of them unread, a great supply of movies and other things accessible both online and off. Online and off. I was watching a great YouTube, Dark Horizons. I think that's the name. That's the old one. Midnight's Edge. Sorry, it's a movie information video site. And they were talking about Star Wars and all the things. And one of the things they said is that Netflix had turned down their bit rate recently. If you guys know, it used to be piracy, it used to be torrents, but now it's video streaming that takes the most bandwidth on the internet, and specifically Netflix streaming. They're still number one. And Netflix reduced its bit rate, so the videos you're getting are not as high quality as they used to be. This probably doesn't matter. You can probably barely see it. But if you're a true quality file, this is why you have Blu-rays at home. As well as if there's a disruption in the internet, good thing we got rid of net neutrality. That's going to come up. If they decide that the internet is now for serious business only, and that government and corporation video chats need to be held at a higher level than, say, some idiot watching New Girl on Netflix, they're going to reduce your bandwidth. And thanks to killing net neutrality, it's probably a lot easier for them to do that. Netflix has already done it by reducing their bandwidth. But if you got the Blu-rays at home, you can always pull them off. You can watch whatever you want in high quality with no interruptions. Something to think about as more and more people get into the internet, as they stay home and they stay on the internet all the time and they stream all day long. We're into all the movies now. Wall-E, Fahrenheit 451, people just leaving the view screen on in the background. It's comforting. It's comforting to have the view screen on. So there we go. That's where I think we are. A lot of people are going to die who don't have to die. Checking out another chart. We love charts and graphs, even when they're sad. Coronavirus deaths in Italy and Spain are increasing much more rapidly than they did in China. The cumulative number of deaths by number of days since the 10th death. And as we can see in the chart here, starting out Japan, Switzerland, Netherlands, UK surging very early, but surging. US seems to be going straight up. Iran in big trouble and Italy in real trouble here. They have a jagged line here showing that Italy, for some points, was above a 33% daily increase. 33% up. That's 3 days to doubling, about, on average. Spain also very much out of control. Oh, I was supposed to be in Spain right now. It's too bad. And then China at the top still. So as everyone didn't believe the Chinese numbers, we're now seeing the other world, the rest of the world numbers spiking and surging much, much worse in the death rate. Kramer this morning on CNBC, I could only manage a few minutes of television before I had to turn it off. He said, $1 trillion is actually a very small thing. It's an aircraft carrier. Maybe we need 4 aircraft carriers. And he's talking about the $1,000 stimulus, that the $1,000 stimulus might not be enough. Richard Painter has just written a book called The American Nero. So he was horrified and probably pleased for the marketing when Trump tweeted a meme of himself fiddling, drawing a comparison to Roman Emperor Nero. For those of you who are not into Roman history, which is too bad because it's super fascinating, Roman Emperor Nero famously fiddled while Rome burned. Some say he actually got out on the balcony with the fiddle, like for real. But in general, it refers to his bad state of affairs, the corruption in Rome, and the general destruction that went on around him. Also, Nero famously made one of his horses into a senator. He said that he was more sensible than the rest of the body. So pretty creepy stuff to see Roman history coming back here with our own Nero. This seems like once again, if you guys ever wanted to donate when we show the graphic, it's great to donate now because we pretty much lose our ad rates, our ad, whatever it is, our ad rights every single day here. But I think it's worth it to play cool videos like this to get the important words out. Other people are really good at making speeches, and I like to hear them. So if you want to donate in the super chat or when we show the Bitcoin address later on, that would be great. But here it is. This is Matt Hancock, and he says, "It is because we are all human that we are all susceptible to coronavirus, and it is our shared humanity that means we will pull together to defeat it." Here we go. We're going to go full screen, maybe do some rewinding, see what we can do here.
This is a once-in-a-century event, and it means that the whole resources of the country has got to be turned on how best we get through this as a country. You know, it's because we're all humans that we're all susceptible to the virus. So we need to all come together to support each other through it. And that, of course, the only organisation that is big enough to do that in a calamity of this scale is the government.
That was shorter than I thought. The only organization at scale is the government. I know it's not what you libertarians and you small-minded government people wanted to hear, but at this scale, with a problem like this, the only organization who can handle it is the government and maybe the military. Andrew Yang talks to Kara Swisher about why we need an emergency version of universal basic income to combat the fallout from the coronavirus. In the midst of a crisis, it's vital that we get purchasing power into people's hands as quickly as possible. Once again, we've been supporting the ideas of Andrew Yang since early in his campaign. Andrew Yang took Bitcoin, talked about Bitcoin, accepted Bitcoin, and supported universal basic income in an attempt to fight the scourge and unstoppable scourge of automation. That's right, automation. Those robots are taking your jobs. They're taking my job. They're taking everyone's job. And if we had universal basic income, at least we could continue being people and providing interesting information for the system. I want to say thanks to everybody that's liked this video. We have 39 likes, which doesn't seem like a lot, but checking out the number of people watching now, we have 44 people watching now, and we have 40 likes. So almost everyone watching this video has liked this video. So thank you so much for liking this. Even if actually there's even 3 dislikes. So even if you want to dislike it, that's okay. But I think YouTube's going to be very happy with us for having a high number of people liking and being engaged in this video. You know, they used to execute people for treason. Yeah, they did, you know. There's up to 4 Republican senators who have now been implicated in insider trading instead of trying to help people about the virus. You know, you get the insider government information, then you go outside and you say, hey, I don't want everybody to panic, but you should get some extra canned food. Maybe grandma should stay at home for the next 3 months, right? That's what you do when you get the insight. And you say, hey, everybody, you know, just like, let's slow down into this. Sure, you don't want to just say straight up, you know, oh, it's a panic. But you go home and you sell your own stock. Millions of dollars of your own stock. It's just not a good look. Speaking of not a good look, this was David Riley at DRileyAmusing on Twitter. He had his morning commute to London. It doesn't look good. I wish all these people the best. As you can see, some of them have masks. Many don't have masks, which partially is, in some way, it's a personal choice thing. It's a cultural thing they're trying to say. But I want to say in another way, the masks are sold out. I was worried about coronavirus, weeks ago, months ago, whatever. And I looked around the internet. They were pretty expensive then. They've gotten more expensive now and even harder to get. So a lot of these people don't have the option of a mask, but they definitely don't have one. Either way you want to look at it, this is a scary, scary tube ride to work. I've been on these tubes when they're crowded like this anyway. It's pretty lousy as well. But in the current virus-scared climate, I can't imagine. And I feel especially bad for anyone that has allergies or just a normal cough or cold, who would be horribly ostracized and maybe even beat up or something in the current environment. So stay home. Stay home, everyone. Please stay home. I tried to explain to people why public servants using private government information to make personal profit while not protecting their people is wrong. And just to try to recap, they had a private meeting where they received valuable government information. That's a thing. After receiving the thing, they did not act to protect their people as in the oath that they took. So now they've broken the oath. So that's a problem. Instead, they briefed private meetings of rich constituents. So they took the thing that they got from the government, then they gave it to rich people who had given them money. Right? So that's a misuse of the thing that they got from the government. Then they used the thing and their brains to sell all their personal stock. That's the problem. That's what they did wrong. See, it's the thing that makes it different. If you go on Twitter and you read Balaji, and Balaji's a cool dude, and Balaji's all freaked out about the virus, and you trust Balaji, that's fine. You got the information from Balaji. You got it for free. Even if you paid Balaji to get on his private mailing list or something, and he emails you and he says, I'm worried about the virus, and you listen to him and you sell, that's fine. You paid for that information. The problem here is the information that they got is because they're government servants. Their job is to serve the people who elected them. So when they get special information like this, they're supposed to use it to help the people that they were elected for, their constituents. They're not supposed to use it for small private groups of constituents or for their own personal gain. All right, so that's how it works. So there you go. It's explained to you. Libertarians, pay attention. And once again, more and more Republicans were finding out, sold their stock. Millions of dollars in stock they sold before the collapse, before the crisis, while Trump was saying that it was fake news and it was government and it was a liberal lie and it was fake and all those things. It's just awful. 700,000 Americans to be stripped from food stamps. We talked about that. We talked about this. What Purdue should have done when briefed on COVID-19, warn the public, push for the strongest response. What David Perdue did, he sold casino shares before tourism plunged and bought pharma stocks before Congress spent billions on drug research. And I know all the trader guys in the audience are saying, why didn't they just short? Why, if I could go back in time, I would have shorted Carnival Cruise Lines into the ground. And they just don't know very much about the stock market. They're not very good at cheating. They're lousy cheaters. And again, that's why we caught them. That's why they're caught. And that's why, if you really want to know the future, they resign. They've all going to resign. Shout out to Mike at TXDO Hawk. We used to talk about changing the world for the better, banking the unbanked, strengthening the vulnerable, and mostly, we just enriched a bunch of assholes. I still have hopes that we might someday do something of value with the tech, but that hope gets slimmer by the day, to be honest. Yeah, it's a bummer. The Bitcoin cryptocurrency ICO industry, in a lot of ways, has done exactly what Mike said, enriched a bunch of assholes. They had more money to begin with. They took significant risks, and they were significantly rewarded, although sometimes they conspired together and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, they have the chips. We're looking for our 50th like. Can we get it? 50 likes, right on the edge. Will you be number 50? Daily Show. NBA player gets access to a coronavirus test. Senator uses inside info to sell stocks before the market crashes. Normal person trades family heirloom for black market toilet paper. That really is the difference, isn't it? If you work for the NBA, you're in a great position. If you work for the Senate, you can illegally and immorally use your position to benefit. And if you're a normal person, if you're lucky, you can wipe your ass. All right. Check out the World Crypto Network. We've got a new interview with Aaron Von Weerdum, Bitcoin Katia, and that Mad Bitcoins fellow from the Lightning Conference 2019 in Berlin. Check it out. We're just hanging out, talking about Bitcoin, other things that are going on. Aaron really enjoyed the conference. There were a lot of great speeches and speakers. I was mainly in the room doing the interviews, but I enjoyed that too. As Aaron said during the interview, because I told you I was writing a book about Bitcoin history, it means you're going to ask me about it every time? Yes, exactly. So, let's keep going. Up the line. Mad Bitcoins, right. Did anyone dream one time that the world got shut down and suddenly all the TV shows were done at home like YouTube videos and no one went outside at all? Hey, wait, I had that dream. I'm dreaming it right now. Maybe it's a nightmare. And since we probably lost our ad rights already, shout out to Josh at Josh Man Mode on Twitter. He says, it's getting bad out there, guys. Pray for our country. And it's only 20 seconds, but it's funny. Oh,
for this coronavirus bullshit, man.
Here we go. Sorry.
These guys are going insane with this doomsday prepping over this coronavirus bullshit, man. A guy's pulled over on the side of the road, so I figured, hey, I'll stop, see if he needs a hand or whatever. I says, bud, what's going on? He says, I'll give you a case of toilet paper if you let me see your pecker. I'm not even joking, you guys. It happened right fucking over there. Fucking people.
Pretty good, huh? I'll give you a case of toilet paper. I can see your pecker. And he points with the toilet paper in his hand. That was a good one, man. Good work. He got 503 retweets, 2.1 thousand likes, and a smile from me, Josh. So good stuff. Yesterday, we had a poll on the @MadBitcoins Twitter account, which, of course, you should follow if you're interested in Mad Bitcoins. Yesterday's poll: is the current plan for $1,000 stimulus enough? Yes, 12%. No, 88%. 92 people voted. Current stimulus plan is not enough. That's a lot of sixes. A little while ago when we started this show, there was a $6,666 Bitcoin with 30 cents added on for good measure. Also on Twitter, you can retweet the announcement about this very show. That's right. Retweeting's better than favoriting. It spreads it to more people. Even if you don't have that many people on your timeline, it's still better to retweet than to favorite. And if you shared this announcement, which is also on the @WorldCryptoNet Twitter, you could help spread the word about this show. That's right. We talked about that crazy question. Oh, there's the donation address. Check it out. For 155 Bitcoins and 0.569384 Satoshis, you could donate $1 million to this show. You could do it in a single transaction. It would be just that easy. But if you don't have $1 million, you could always donate $10 or $20 or even $5 or less with the Lightning Network. By using the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Bitcoin donations help support this show, which is especially important because YouTube's demonetizing us, especially when we play audio or video, which is fair use from other channels to try to improve the show and to help discuss more interesting things. We also lose our ad rights when we use the word coronavirus, which happens accidentally sometimes. And sometimes when you use the word Bitcoin, you lose your ad rights too. So there's a lot going on. But you can always help us out by donating And it'll even happen live, like a little graphic will come up and the whole thing. And if I turn on this button here with a Tallycoin software written by DJ Booth, it will make noise. So I'll hear it, even if you just send $5. So check that out. Shout out to the 52 people who have liked this show. Even if you went on and watched some other show because you watch this for like 5 minutes or something, you're like, that's cool. I'm going to give them a like. I'm going to move along. That's all right. The price of Bitcoin is $6,425, up 3.71% in the last 24 hours. You're watching The Thomas Hunt Show on the World Crypto Network. You can call The Thomas Hunt Show at 1-518-600-1949 or on Skype at World Crypto Network. All one word. Yeah. Checking out our top stories in Bitcoin that we never got a chance to talk about yesterday. Craig Wright ordered to pay $165,000 in legal fees. The lawsuit against Craig Wright remains in motion, but Wright is having to stump for legal fees incurred so far. Only they could have been much worse. So he probably hasn't paid the he probably hasn't have had to pay the other side's legal fees yet. But if he does lose the lawsuit, he may be responsible for the other side's legal fees as well. Once again, Craig Wright is being sued by the descendants of David Kleinman, who may have mined some very early and very significant Bitcoins with Craig. Craig claims to be Satoshi Nakamoto, but has not provided any proof to substantiate this claim. One time he did provide proof to Gavin Andreessen, but kind of tricked him and destroyed his reputation. German Chancellor calls coronavirus biggest challenge since World War II. I'm seeing this thrown out a lot lately, and I completely agree with it. The only way to understand what we're fighting and why we're staying home, myself voluntarily for at least a week or two now, and now essentially by force with the state of Nevada closing all non-essential businesses and the state of California joining suit following the National Basketball Association, which is, of course, the organization you really want to work for. No one protects their workers like the National Basketball Association. No one more valued highly than them in the United States anyway. But yes, this is World War II, World War III, World War V. It's time to fight the virus. No more virus. Virus no more. Flatten the curve. We've already lost our ad rights today, so I'm going to play a little bit of Mel Brooks' classic History of the World Part 1. They never made a Part 2. That's pretty funny. This was a great scene in the Roman Senate where they were deciding what to do with the Senate. Oh, we need to have more volume. Can we have more volume, please?
O fellow members of the Roman Senate, hear me. Shall we continue to build palace after palace for the rich? Or shall we aspire to a more noble purpose and build decent housing for the poor? How does the Senate vote? Fuck the poor! Good.
It's pretty good. It's too quiet, sorry, but...
Shall we continue to build palace after palace for the rich? Or shall we aspire to a more noble purpose and build decent housing for the poor? How does the Senate vote? Fuck the poor! Good.
Classic Mel Brooks there, not a Saturday Night Live. This has been going around. This is BRRR.money. I hope it's still working. We're going to try to mess with it a little here. So we started up the money printer. As you can see, the stock market is not going up. We need to increase the money printer. We're increasing more money printing. We've added trillions of dollars. We're refunding the banks directly. We're buying back stocks. We just nationalized a couple companies. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Ah! It is pretty great. It might be the meme of the year. And especially what I like is they took the original graphic, which was probably just an animation or just a still, and they built it into this whole animation, this whole game that you can play, where you can decide how much money to print. It's pretty cool. I like the way even the graphics and the little thing, the little meter shake too. That's great. And here we go, big refresh. Get some new information from John Hopkins, the coronavirus.jhu.edu/map. We now have 255,000 coronavirus cases. Seems like it went up 5,000 since my last refresh. Total deaths, 10,444. 87,351 recovered. Checking out the top stories in Bitcoin, it's the price, the price, the price, and the price. Forbes, Bitcoin rally leaves stocks in the dust. Bitcoin blew past stocks today, failing to correlate with equities. Uh-oh. Has Bitcoin returned its trend of being an uncorrelated asset? Ooh. Contrary to popular belief, Bitcoin isn't consistently correlated to anything. No shit, Sherlock. No shit. Two major investment fund CEOs make opposite bets on Bitcoin. Fine with me. This is the Thomas Hunt Show. And it would be better if you called in. Give us a call now at 1-518-600-1949 or Skype us on World Crypto Network. All one word. We're about an hour and 15 minutes into the show. We've done the news. We've talked the talk. And maybe we'll just start inviting random people. If you guys don't want to join me, I've got room for co-hosts. Let me put the word out. Where was my Twitter? Let's see. I try to get some interesting people. And I think more and more as we do these shows and as I get better at inviting people and scheduling, I can just, go around pasting the link in, seeing if people will join this show. Because I know some people, and I'll bet you'd like to talk to them. So sending out that link. Let's see what we can do here. Sent it to Mir on Twitter, but she's in Italy. Let's see. Send it to Tatiana, see if she's around. And I'll send it to you at home at 1-518-600-1949 or on Skype at World Crypto Network. Jeremy wants an in-person interview. Seems unlikely. I don't think anybody's going face-to-face ever again. Value all the interviews I did. Value the travel. Value seeing Adam back in his natural location of beautiful Malta. Because I'm not sure it's happening again for a while. They're talking about nationalizing the airlines. They're talking about hotels like Marriott and Hilton going out of business. Legendary hotel brands. Ubiquitous hotel brands. But maybe it doesn't last forever. You can call in internationally by pushing +1 on your phone. Shout out to Rad Vladdy. He can't call in. He's saving lives. It's great if you're out there working in the system. Maybe you're an emergency worker or like the grocery workers in at least one state. I want to say Washington. You've been deemed an emergency worker. It's great. Keep working. Listen to something like this. Distract yourself. Listen to some music. Keep your hands clean. Hello, caller. You're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey,
Hey.
it's Marty from San Jose. How's it going, man?
Hey, Marty. How's it going? Welcome to the show.
Good.
What's on
Just
your mind?
tuning in. Oh, well, I don't want to get all doom and gloom today because that's what I did the past few times I called. But I do want to say, my wife and I were thinking about, we're going to start a little garden here. For
Nice.
medicinal herbs and vegetables and stuff like that, because I had a thought, this was a couple of weeks ago, that with all the food shortages, you know about the Central Valley in California. You said you're from Sacramento, right?
Sure. Sacramento, Central Valley. Yeah, that's the farmers. Those are my people.
The breadbasket.
Yep, yep. Good
So
old
I
Stockton,
had a thought.
man.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, Stockton. You avoid that place like the plague. But man, they
Expressions that didn't used to be so funny, like the plague.
like the plague. Yeah. Oh shit. But I have a feeling if grocery stores stay unstocked and we got the supply line issues, they'll likely nationalize all those farms down there and just redistribute it to the places that need it most. So, I mean, that would mean that, they did this during World War II, victory gardens, and during the Depression, people did this sort of thing a lot more. And another thing I've been doing is getting parts to repair things from Amazon.
Nice.
A shit ton of electronic components, like real thick, heavy gauge wax thread. You can use that to repair tarps, jeans. They make the big old thick needles too for like leather. You can sew use tire to a bottom of a shoe for a new sole. Just stuff like that we can't rely on stuff from China anymore. I mean, the way things are looking, we have to be able to fix and repair our own things now. So
it sounds like an old prepper thing that we used to say back in the day, but now it's true for everybody. And it's not just, certainly you should be thinking out of the box stuff like that, pieces of wire and other things that you can use for, things that you have around the house that are going to need repair. But I also, yesterday, just as soon as you're locked down, you start thinking about all the other things you need, like deodorant and shampoo. If you haven't stocked up, you could still probably buy that stuff from Amazon. The system's a little overloaded right now, but that's kind of their problem. They said the other day they had a confusing announcement about their warehouses. What I basically think they meant were they're not accepting any more T-shirts or individual items anymore. They're only bringing in new medical items, and they're only taking out new medical. But I think right now they want your money still, and they're getting tons of mine as I just walk around all day thinking, oh, I forgot this, and oh, I forgot that. And do it early, order it now. I don't know that Amazon's going to make a special delivery just to bring you one item in the future, but it's still on. They're saying in the chat about your pets as well. You should get extra food for your pets. You should get extra medicine for your pets, especially if your pets are older and need medicine, so on and so forth. It's going to be a tough time for pets as well. But yeah, we've got to start all the planning ahead that we used to not do. It's time to do. So.
Oh, it's high time to do. Another little trick for people: if they don't have what you're looking for on Amazon, you can go to Overstock. I bought some foaming cleanser from there, which is like a waterless cleanser you can use to deodorize your armpits. They use it in medical situations. They need to clean something without water. They had a bunch of dehydrated food. I don't know if they have that anymore. The last time I checked, it was sold out. But stuff like that you can find on other distributors. Even this was crazy. Newegg has got some things like that, and they accept Bitcoin. So that's a little trick of the trade right there.
That's strange that it would be Newegg. For a minute, I thought you meant Fry's, because Fry's is a grocery store and an electronics store, which I've always found to be weird. But yeah, to think outside the box, thinking about, we talked the other day about Asian supermarkets might still have food because people are afraid to go there because they're racist and the Asian flu and all that kind of nonsense. So check that out. Think outside the box. They said, small convenience stores, mom and pop stores, they might not be cleaned out. Maybe you'll get some of that elusive toilet paper.
Right. Yeah, it's so bizarre that the toilet paper thing has happened the way it has. Like, why toilet paper? I was trying to figure that out. Like,
it's a teddy bear.
Psychologically,
it's everybody's teddy bear. They all heard they were going to be stuck inside, and they first thought of their ass. And they thought, am I gonna shit comfortably? Am I gonna wipe my ass cleanly in this horrible apocalyptic future where you have to stay inside? They didn't go buy books. There was a rush at Barnes and Noble as they're running out of books. Encyclopedias, short story collections, large books are flying off the shelves. No, they bought toilet paper. So, yeah, we got some smart people out there, and they hoarded it. It's not like, okay, stock up for a few months. Sure, I get that. We're gonna be inside. Like, I'm not going outside. I'm not going outside for toilet paper, certainly. So F that. But no, they hoarded it. They bought and they bought and they bought, and I guess it makes them feel good. I don't know. I don't think it's great. I'm not supporting calling it Asian flu. I'm not supporting that. But
no.
So I said it. I'm sorry I said it earlier, but I'm saying it for example purposes. I'm not saying it as a label. So
here's some little out of the box thinking. You know, when people experience fear, you get that adrenaline response, right? And I don't know about you, but you get that like urge to take a shit. The fear shit, as I call it. You know, you get real worked up. You're like, oh man, gotta use a toilet. Maybe psychologically people are like, oh God, this is scary, man. I gotta get toilet paper.
I think that's it. Well, they're going to provide for their family with this toilet paper. And it's the real problem I have. We just can't stop joking about it. The whole society, like there was a tweet yesterday that seemed partially like a joke where a florist shop was offering a 7-roll bouquet where it was just a bunch of rolls of toilet paper on sticks. And instead of roses, you could get your loved one 7 rolls of toilet paper. And it's a funny joke, but it was also selling. And there was also some kind of economic value to these rolls. I've heard about a bar that was selling, because all the bars are trying to sell take-home drinks. They're trying to empty out the bars, essentially, sell off their resources. They've been legalized to sell take-home drinks, which was previously illegal. But they're selling like quarts of margarita with a free roll of toilet paper. So there you go. God. Business is working on it. Somebody's out there thinking. No, it doesn't make any sense. It's not even at least if it was a gastrointestinal disease, I would be like, oh, the disease makes you use a lot of toilet paper. So people went up and stocked out for it. I'm like, that's great. Like, one more thing to look forward to when I get the disease. Oh boy. No, I don't even, it's a lung disease. It doesn't even affect your ass. So I don't know what America is doing. So.
Yeah, I have a feeling this is the kind of like nonlinear behavior we'll see as time goes on, where people just don't know how to really cope. You know, things have been a certain way for such a long amount of time. I mean, over 60 years now since World War II. No, 70. Right, the end of World War II is 70 years ago, and it has been such a nice ride since then. I mean, excluding the Cold War. People were scared of the bomb dropping, but that was different. People didn't have to worry about rationing.
I think we just got fat and lazy. We had too much peace. We forgot how to work together, how to come together, and the value of it, the reason that we do it, that it's not all just socialism or communism or whatever you want to jingoistically run to. That there is a value in human community. There's a reason we built these societies, the reason that we planted the grains in the first place. But we've forgotten all that. So,
and gotten so wrapped up in our own heads, and it's the cynic in me says that we almost sort of need this to shake ourselves out of the craziness that has gotten into people, you know. But then there's the other side of that coin where people, I mean, this is something that's invisible. People are distancing, and who knows, is it really going to bring people back together, or is it just going to, like, really, really throw a wrench into things we've never seen?
Well, that's the big thing. It's
I'm getting all doom and gloomy.
It's a lot like Star Wars. We have a disruption in the Force. Things are off, right? And a balance needs to return. And that's Those are creepy words because that's a lot like what's written on the Georgia Guidestones. You guys, if you guys like Stonehenge, we've got a Stonehenge right here in America. We just never talk about it. It's called the Georgia Guidestones, and it's very real. And one day, a mysterious person with a fake name showed up with a bunch of money and had a bunch of granite made and had the granite dragged out to a special spot that they'd bought. And they set up these kind of Stonehenge in America called the Georgia Guidestones. And you can Google that and read about it on Wikipedia. And the
That's
Georgia
good conspiracy
Guidestones.
fodder.
Oh, yeah, it's big conspiracy fodder because on the Georgia Guidestones it says that humanity should be kept in balance with nature. And I forget the exact number, but I want to say it's something like they only want there to be 100,000 people or they only want there to be 1 million. Something like that. There's way too many people and not enough trees.
500 million.
Yeah, 500 million, much less than we currently have. So there's not a great thing going on in those Georgia Guidestones, but somebody out there is a big environmentalist. Looks like we got another call. Hold on just a sec. We're going to go to the other call. Hello, caller. You're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Heidi, and I'm calling from Germany.
What's on your mind about Bitcoin and the virus today?
Yeah, I just wanted to share what's up in Germany and how is everybody thinking about Bitcoin and really like the success story of internet money that is cashless and works fine without people seeing each other or having physical contact.
It's much better to send Bitcoin. I've heard a lot of businesses aren't accepting cash. They're worried it might be infected. They don't want to have to hassle with it. As you guys know, if you have cash, like say you have a slot machine that accepts quarters, every couple of hours you got to come by and collect all the quarters. Then you got to bag them up and take them to the bank, and the bank's got to put them in. There's this whole physical supply chain that, especially in these new virus days, you wouldn't want. So I think Bitcoin would be much better for that. Are people in Germany, are they emptying out the supermarkets? And perhaps most importantly,
yeah, sure.
are they stocking up on
there
toilet
literally
paper?
Fights for toilet paper in the first place, and then like the goods that that do not rot so fast, they are like completely bought out. There's nothing left. People are even fighting. The other day there was a sack of I don't know, bread or something, and they were literally fighting to have the last one. So it's real, scary sometimes, and
And how's the German government responding? Do you think that the government is doing a good job? Are they closing things down?
Whether it's good or not, they're pretty damn good organized here. They literally spending money. I don't know where they got it from or what kind of purpose there is really behind. You always think about they needed a reason to print money out of thin air, but they have promised people big sums of money and credits without interest rate for the small businesses that they probably won't even have to pay back. So they're good organized here, and they try to stretch the outbreak so much that they can carry it with the health system, so they're not overloaded on people. But they're not of course they're taking your freedom to go out a little bit. They close down all restaurants, but they're not like strictly watching it or controlling it or have martial law.
It's still voluntary. Yeah. Well, that's good.
Yeah,
Are most people abiding by it, or are the bars full of people? We have this thing here on the beaches. People really like beaches and they like water, and they're like, I don't care. I'm gonna live my life. I'm gonna go to the beach one more time. Robble. Despite the fact they could infect everybody else and kill their whole family.
Yeah, people are watching each other, so it's not really that they would if they could, or if society would allow it, they would be a little more loose with the rules. But people are really checking in on each other, and it's like still is a bit of Nazi Germany where everybody's watching the other to not risk anything and protect each other. So it's a little bit over the
Old
top,
habits
but
die
okay.
hard. Yeah.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, really. And in comparison to Iran, I'm between two worlds. My parents are Iranian. We moved here like 30 years ago. And in Iran, it's really horrible. The people are living, they cannot afford to stay off work a day. There's no like quarantine or something. People are dying in thousands, and the government is covering it up. And really horrible in comparison to Germany. I'm very happy that I live here. Although I don't like the country that much, there's now nothing, like passionate people in Iran are. The people are very cold, but in crises like these, it's probably better to be here where everything is in place and structured. And in Iran they built a Quran troop or something that does extra prayers every day, but it's not helping the people. I mean, it's quite ridiculous that all the money is spent for an extra Quran praying unit that provides extra prayer. I mean, that's kind of not what the people really need now. So in comparison,
it's too bad
I'm really
to
happy
see the
to be in
priorities go that way. And certainly if you have a religious government, having a religious prayer unit seems a very logical choice. So it is probably better to be in the German structured society, as much as people might not like that structure sometimes. Other times that structure really works out, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing right now. So I need to be happy because my parents are like a risky group. They have problems with the heart. My brother got leukemia 5 years now ago, and he's still a critical group. So I'm very happy that, at least from the health perspective, things are covered and taken care of. So
I'm glad to hear everybody's doing okay. Just got to stay home, stay in self-quarantine. Let's get through this thing. I'll tell you my favorite story about when I visited Germany. I met a friend of mine, Max's friend, Nathaniel, and Natty said something like, I was joking, and I joke about a lot of things. I think most everything's funny. But he said to me, Tom, in Germany, we do not joke about work. And I thought that summed up the German people. I really understood them a lot better. I was like, no, they just don't joke about work. It's just not funny to them. So.
No, that's quite true. Not about money, not about work. Those are like.
That's right. They're serious people.
That's how they do it. But I mean, you got to respect it, and they do it. They do a good job. So.
That's right. And we need all different kinds of people. We have all kinds of people that are into one thing or another thing.
Exactly.
If you even we're just saying stupid stereotypes or whatever. But if the Italians like food or whatever, if somebody likes food, that's great. And whatever you're into, just be into it. So that's good.
Yeah, exactly. That's very true. Yeah, and then people are finding their unique strength, and everyone has to play its part where it can play or where it can support others. I mean, some people are more powerful in some aspects of their life game, and then they can support other people in those subjects. And everybody's finding its uniqueness. So it's not bad after all to check out what can I do, what am I not so good at, maybe where do I need help. And,
that's right. Just got to keep working on it. We've all got our part we can play. We can all help out. Well, thanks so much for the call, and give me a call anytime.
Thank you.
All right.
I do.
All right. From Germany right there. And you can give us a call now at 1-518-600-1949 or on Skype at WorldCryptoNetwork, all one word. We're doing the standing up, stretching part of the show, and my knee is still starting to go out. So, exciting new pleasures and treasures of getting old. All right. We're checking in with the chat. What's going on? They say Merkel is destroying Germany, so we got some not fans of Merkel. AR says it's a shame that people have forgotten how to pray, or maybe we never knew how. I think that's an interesting segue into the book I'm reading right now. I believe it's called A Maze of Death by Philip K. Dick. And I'm a big Philip K. Dick fan, or as people call him, dickheads. And as a dickhead, I know the worse the title, the better the book. So after you read the initial Philip K. Dick books, and I'm sure you guys have heard of him because every movie in the last 15 years is based on one of his books, Total Recall, Minority Report, so many others, Blade Runner, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, Paycheck, Next, so on and so forth. Just a lot of great Philip K. Dick books, and there's going to be more of them in the future made into movies. He's very interesting. But anyway, the worse the title, the better the book. Maze of Death. One of the interesting things about this book, they're kind of on they're on like a moon base, or they're on some kind of colony, and they pray electronically. So they send the prayer out into the network, and there's all kinds of strange things that we're learning about in the kind of cosmology here. And it's Philip K. Dick, so we're always really talking about the UBIC event, the event where he received the information and he connected to the satellite. So a lot of this is about there's a satellite, they're trying to connect to it, they're trying to get their orders of what to do when they're on this planet, and they can't get their orders. So they don't know what to do. So they're aimless. But they're all there because they prayed. And they prayed electronically. They prayed through the internet or the planet-to-planet network or something. So it's an interesting idea to take prayer and then to give it computers, because I think that the prayers kind of go to the AI, and there were different aspects of the AI that would grant or not grant your prayer depending on what your prayer was about. Kind of like if you'd send it to Santa Claus, or if you'd send it to the Easter Bunny, or which department should this prayer go to. So very interesting stuff. Philip K. Dick, Maze of Death. You can get it on Amazon Kindle. I got it through the Kindle Unlimited program. They have some deals for a couple bucks. You get access to unlimited books, and all the Philip K. Dick books are on there, so you can check that out. Not that expensive, but there it is. Check it out on the Kindle. I agree with AR in the chat. He says, I wish they would make more William Gibson movies. I'm not sure why he doesn't do that. I've always thought Neuromancer would be a fantastic movie, especially if done in gritty black and white, like a film noir. The guy commits several murders early in the book. It's gritty, it's grimy. And then when you go to the world of cyberspace, when he pounds on his deck, when he enters the internet, which is something that Gibson didn't even have when he wrote the book on a typewriter, when he goes in there, that's when the color gets in. So color, internet, black and white world, Neuromancer would be a fantastic film. I'd love to be involved. So, yeah, love Gibson. A lot of the other ones, especially like Iduru, I don't remember very much, but it's about a Japanese virtual reality, like an avatar, right? A sprite, but she's alive. She's real. She's like a pop star like Katy Perry, but as a hologram, a living live hologram. That's a good movie. I'd watch that. I mean, I read the book. All the Gibson ones. I don't know why they're not movies and books. They would spread the word so much more. In many ways, The Matrix is based on Gibson books, without a doubt. So, yeah, check out Philip K. Dick. Check out William Gibson. Great time to read. One of my favorites, Pattern Recognition by William Gibson. Oh, hold on. Let's see. Hello, caller. You're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, hello, Thomas.
I can hear you, but we have a bit of feedback, so turn down your speaker.
Okay, yeah. One moment.
All right, go ahead. What's on your mind about Bitcoin and, of course, everything else that's going on?
Yeah, well, let me introduce myself. I'm Sebastian from Amsterdam.
I love Amsterdam.
Yeah.
How's it going in Amsterdam? I heard they closed down a couple of days ago. I saw there were giant lines outside of the weed shops. Everyone was stocking up before going inside. So how'd it go for you?
Yeah. Yeah, well, a funny anecdote about that. Like one day before everyone was stacking up all the toilet paper, I just almost ran out of toilet paper, and I thought, let me get something. And I went to the supermarket, and they had a discount, two for the price of one. And I was like, should I buy it? Yes, of course. But then people will think I will be stacking up, and people will be eyeballing me, and should I buy it or not? Should I buy it or not? Oh, fuck it, I'm gonna buy it. And when I was at the counter, the guy in front of me said, "Are you piling up for the coronavirus?" And I went, oh shit, he got me. I wasn't actually piling up; I was just running out. But you know,
It is funny how it's a great spirit that you didn't want to do it, and that it's kind of the spirit of Holland and the Netherlands people. They want to work together. They don't want to see that hoarding. But at the same time, I know a lot of my habits at the store were questioned recently, where usually I'm like, save the money, don't buy that, especially with like chips or desserts or something. I'm like, don't buy that. You don't want to eat it, don't buy it. But now with the whole virus, it was one of these fears where it's like, should I buy two? Yeah. Should I buy three? Like, this is going to be the last candy bar I ever eat. It's gets scary right quick. So I know why people hoard. It's a pretty obvious like human thing to do, but it can be tough not to. Yeah.
I do think it's not a black and white thing. Like, I do think it's a good idea to have some stash, because the majority of the people will get this virus eventually, and you don't want to get outside once you get the virus. So you need to have some food for like a couple of days or maybe even 2 weeks, but you shouldn't buy it all together. I bought for myself like a couple of extra cans, but I didn't buy it all together. I just, every now and then, I bought an extra can of food, and then an extra bag of rice, and then some sauce, and here and there I stacked up, but slowly, like not everything all together. So that also made sure that people weren't checking me out from, hey, what the fuck, is he piling up or something? So, and also to not put a lot of stress on the supply chain, because what you see right now, there isn't a really shortage. There's just too much stress on the supply chain. Like, the trucks cannot drive fast enough to get it from the warehouse to the stores. That's a problem currently in the Netherlands. People are like buying as mad because they think there will be a shortage, but there isn't. And there was this little video that went kind of viral from a guy working in a warehouse that stacked toilet paper. And he was just showing the country, like, look, guys, we've got enough. We've got plenty of toilet paper to wipe your ass for the next 10 years. So chill out, everyone.
I know. It's just a matter of waiting for the trucks to come. I know people were talking here about the stores being empty. I've heard, and of course I haven't been, and I don't want to go until I have to, but I've heard the stores are restocked. I've heard that it's been 2 or 3 days. Everybody did their panic shop. The stores, they want to make more money. They brought in all the trucks. They reshelved everything. And I hear the stores are fine. I think people are freaked out. They don't really want to be with other people in the store, and they're touching lots of stuff, and they're wearing all the masks. And if you don't have masks, you're wearing scarves and all this kind of stuff, which is good. You need to protect yourself, but it does look a little ridiculous, and the whole social distancing looks a little ridiculous, but obviously we're going to do it. We're going to, it's on now. It's just people look so awkward when doing it. And I guess it's awkward because it is awkward. It's the definition of awkward. So,
we're not used to this kind of stuff. It's completely new. We're not used to taking drastic measurements, because we've lived a good life. And we are still kind of living a good life. I mean, I think we're kind of lucky the virus is bad, but it's not that bad. It could be so much worse. Like, for example, if the virus would be like get immune or starts mutating and gets 10% more infectious, or 10% more lethal. That could just have been the case, but it's not. So we're still lucky, actually. And we can deal with this sort of, maybe, but next time we might not have been so lucky. And it's funny, in YouTube, I think most of the people got this recommendation from a TED Talk from Bill Gates about how will we tackle the next global virus. And that video was from 5 years ago. And he saw this coming perfectly. Like, he could have made this video like a week ago, and it would be like, yeah, exactly how he would have predicted it. He nailed it, like what would happen and how we should have responded. But what he discusses is a lot of countries see the biggest threat for society, a war. And that's what countries are preparing for, war. And research and development and money goes to preventing war or preparing for war. And like Navy SEALs are being trained to act as efficiently and effectively as possible to act in a war. What we should have done, according to Bill Gates, is train medic staff just as good as we train Navy SEALs, so we can tackle this actually viruses if it comes up like it does today. Unfortunately, we haven't, not really. Like, we kind of don't know really what to do with it. We are just improvising along the way, and that's what you see with most governments. We see, oh, we don't want to do too much, otherwise it will damage the economy. But by doing nothing, you damage the economy as well. So might as well, like I've heard you said it before, rip off the bandage. I think that's a good analogy. So yeah.
I definitely agree with you. I think we're going to get through this. It's a big challenge, and it's also a learning experience, right? Governments in the future are going to be more prepared for pandemics. They're going to have better checklists. They're going to go down them faster, and they're going to respond quicker. Integration with healthcare, integration with vaccine producers, all these other things are going to be increased. And we might even own a few airlines. We're definitely going to own Boeing. But yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy what it's doing to the markets, the uncertainty, the panic, which again is uncertainty is the worst thing for the markets. They're very organized and serious people. They have these earning reports. They think they're going to sell 1,000 iPhones. They're going to have a great year. This thing comes along. They're not selling any iPhones. They're not even projecting that they can sell any iPhones. They don't know when they're going to be selling iPhones. This is, it's knocked them off their rocker. So
that is the worst thing for markets. Yeah.
And there's nothing we can do. We just have to wait. We have to put the time in, staying at home, which doesn't help the economy. But it's the only way we're going to fight this virus. It's the only way we're going to slow it down is by all staying home.
The funny thing is, I've heard it that in Taiwan, they maybe I actually heard it from you, but I don't remember. In Taiwan, they kind of had a lot of experience with SARS, and they know what an epidemic can do to a society, and they know how fast it can spread, and they saw it coming from China, and they kind of took measurements like immediately. Like not this drastic like they do in most countries in Europe right now, but they did it very early. And if you see at the numbers in Taiwan, the numbers of people that are infected and even died are way less than what you see in Europe. So that's really interesting. That they already have experience like 2 decades ago.
South Korea, much the same thing. They were able to get in early with the testing. They separated people who were sick, and they were successful in not only flattening the curve, but smashing the curve, which was previously thought to be impossible. Yes, definitely, I think their experiences with these in the past Like we were talking about earlier, we've kind of lived in a Garden of Eden here in the United States. I remember at 9/11, when that happened, everyone started talking about how we were kind of all Israelis now, and that their world and the world of Israel and Palestine as well are full of violence and terrorism and uncertainty, and that now the theory was the rest of the world, England and Spain and France and everything we've seen, would be full of uncertainty. And it doesn't happen often, but occasionally there are events in these countries and in the rest of the world that make us uncertain. So much in the same way we came out of that garden of innocence, now we're coming out of the pandemic garden. We didn't have any masks stocked up here at home. We didn't have any gloves stocked up. This has never been a problem for us before, but it's going to be a problem in the future. And if we come out this other side, you can bet this house is going to have a stock of masks. This house is going to have a stock of gloves and food and so forth. I mean, this is a new permanent situation where I think we're all going to become preppers. We're all going to become a part of this.
Exactly.
And in the same way, the governments and what we're going to demand from the governments is going to shift as well.
Exactly. Like pre 9/11, the security at airports was way less than it was after 9/11. And so after the virus is gone, people will be a little bit more, more conscious about basic hygienes, or just maybe that stock levels of toilet paper can run. I don't know, but there will be some long-term effects also that people now notice that it is actually way more easier to work at home than to go to your office. It's in the little, and also homeschooling. People will start to notice that it's actually possible to teach your kids at home. So it becomes more of an option. And people didn't even consider that before. And now they have been shown the option. And so,
don't you think there'll be fear as well? As much as I think we need the socialization and we have the classrooms and the schools and parents have to go back to work, but at the same time, don't you think that if you had the choice, you're like, well, we've been working from home, we've been living at home, there's a scary virus out there that's probably mutating. They maybe gave us the cure, but the cure is not going to last, is your theory. Don't you think there'll be a whole class of people who decide, and it's scary because it's fear-based and it's kind of Bible-based and all those things, but to keep staying home, to keep homeschooling, to keep working from home as a lifestyle choice?
That really depends on how long this virus will stay, and it will stay along, because human psychology works that difficult and hard things don't stay. You tend to forget things that were unpleasant. Humans are by nature kind of positive human beings. It's also a kind of survival thing, I guess. So if it didn't stay long enough, it will not become like, how do you say that? Like a mental scar. If it didn't become a mental scar, then we kind of go back to the old ways, I guess.
I think we're gonna get a scar here. I think this is scar worthy. I think it's coming up. So yeah.
I think as well, but it depends. Like it is a scar, but how big will the scar be? And dependently on how big the scar will become, the more things or new kind of way of living will stick or not. If you get what I mean. Like if it stays for like 3 or 5 years, people will be for always afraid to touch any button. But if it will stay for only like half a year, people will just like do less severe measurements for always. Like
I wish for both of them. I wish that this would be over soon and less damaging, because that'd be good for everybody.
Yeah,
and then at the same time, though, if it lasts a long time and we learn lessons and we change society and we care more about individual health and we take all these protective measures and put in the holographic buttons and whatever else we got to do,
Yeah. We sure need the holographic buttons. Those are cool anyway. So
That's it. Yeah. I mean, done.
Yeah.
Or talking.
Let's become a little bit more Star Trek-like society.
That's right. Star Trek-like,
Exactly.
organized, working together, scientific.
Maybe this virus was a bootstrap for that. We never know. Maybe.
Well, we'll have to look
It
at the
would be
positive.
nice though. Like, we're suffering right now, but maybe it brings something good in humanity. And in the Netherlands, I see it kind of like people are actually willing to help and get us out of this shitty situation. That's what I see. People are really, they want to help each other, and they want to get rid of this and appreciate all the work that other people do. And like a couple of days ago, there was this nation of countrywide moment that everyone went to go outside on their balconies, and they clapped for everyone that was working in the hospitals. And I think that was really nice. Like this little gesture of appreciation for everyone that is like putting their lives on stakes.
That's right. I think medical workers are going to be more valued in the future. Grocery store workers are going to be more valued. I mean, veterinarians, everybody who's out there still working, people in the food supply line, everybody that's still out there that's an essential service, hopefully will be more valued on the other side of this when we can get around to appreciating and restructuring and just improving things so that the next time this happens, we're more prepared and we're ready for it.
I really hope so. Yeah. Then at least this dark page brings us to a more brighter page in history. Well, there were things in this world that needed to be changed anyway. So let it be this. Let this be it then. So,
I think so. I think let's look for the positives. Let's hope for the best.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, thanks so much for the call, and give us a call anytime.
Yeah, maybe I would. Thank you. Thanks for your time.
All right. And you can give us a call now at 1-518-600-1949 or on Skype at World Crypto Network, all one word. If you're calling from another country, the 1 is like +1 or +001 or something. You know, America invented the telephone, Alexander Graham Bell, all that. So we get to be number 1 in the system. Sorry about that. Also, probably has to do with the way they laid the international wires, AT&T, long distance calling, all that kind of stuff. But somebody had to be number 1. Checking out the price of Bitcoin, it's $6,408. That's up 3.43%, $212 in the last 24 hours. Why is the price of Bitcoin going up when the price of everything else is staying the same or going down? Initially, there was a market crash that took down everyone, including the safe haven asset Bitcoin, as well as everybody's favorite safe haven, gold. Gold, Bitcoin, the stock market, everything went down because people were risking off. That means they were getting cash. So it didn't matter how good a deal it was or what a great company it was or how many stocks or casino machines they may have. People were getting into cash. After people got into cash and they started to get comfortable, they said, well, where am I going to put my money that it's going to make more money? Because they're investors, they're gamblers. They like to make more money with their money. That's what they do with their money. So maybe the theory is they're putting their money in Bitcoin because they think that Bitcoin is different than stocks, different than bonds, and different than cash. And in this case, different might be good. And then as more and more people do this and the price of Bitcoin starts to go up, then more and more people think it's good. And then the price goes up. And then more and more people think it's good. And then the price goes up. And then the price keeps going up. And then you forget to sell because you get so overexcited. But something like that might happen again in Bitcoin, might happen in Amazon stock, might happen in, well, it's not going to happen in Carnival Cruise Line, but it might happen in some other stocks out there. So that's what they're looking for. They're looking for those low deals while prices are low. They're looking for those, guy called it on CNBC this morning, a lottery ticket. a stock that started out at 5 and went back to 12. That's a lottery ticket right there. So they have fun words for everything. TV show suggestion. I just started watching the show McMillions the other day. It's a 6-part documentary on HBO about the McDonald's Monopoly game. For you guys who were around in the 80s and the 90s, the McDonald's Monopoly game was huge. Millions of dollars you can win by collecting game pieces. The only problem was the security guy on the inside rigged it so his people got all the game pieces. Took McDonald's like 10 years to find this out. Mainly, they've got fantastic interviews in this documentary, interviews with all the FBI, U.S. attorney type people who tracked this down, interviews with people who knew the people that ran the scam, people in the scam, just the way they did it, the way they unraveled it. It's a fantastic story. So check out McMillions. It's on HBO or streaming or wherever you want to find it. But I think it's a fun show to watch. Some serious fraud, nice and distracting. Nothing about the virus in the show at all. So, all right. Question in the chat. Sorry, I had some water. Why don't you have Telegram and WhatsApp calling? I do have those apps. I'll try to set up some World Crypto Network accounts and get those ready for tomorrow if you think that would help. I just don't have I need a good public account for those. I don't want to just give out my account and then blow up my own mailbox. But yeah, you're right. We can add that in. Basically, we shifted to having more of a phone system here and having everything on the app. So we'll add some more phone numbers if you think that would help. For right now, if you have a question or a comment, you can ask it in the chat. We'll discuss it. We'll talk about it. If anyone wants to describe their location, I think one of the most interesting things during this crisis is hearing from people in different places about what's going on in their place. For example, we talked to the guy in Netherlands, from Germany, from San Jose. So just let us know what's going on, just the basic things everyone's wondering about. Do you have enough food? Are you at home and safe? Are your friends also staying home and safe? Does anybody know somebody that's still going out to the bars, still living the life? Have you tried convincing them not to? Just tell us in the chat. Do you have enough toilet paper? So, and we're going to keep doing these shows. I think it's fun. Couple hours every morning. We try to do them at 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Today looks like we started a little late. Looking more like 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I know everybody has their own times. I like that app, Time Buddy. That's a good app. So check that out. Say McDonald's coins 3 for $10 with shipping. The cheapest he can see. Oh, AR, you're sending me out to eBay, aren't you? I always wanted one of those McDonald's Big Mac coins. A while ago, McDonald's minted their own coin, the first corporation ever to do so in modern times. And this coin would always have the value of a Big Mac. Sadly, I later learned it was only for the length of the promotion, just a few years. But in my mind, I believe that there was a Big Mac locked inside of that coin, and that coin represented the value of a Big Mac. And that in the future, maybe the Big Mac would be made, as we now call it, with impossible burger or crazy scientific meat, or maybe some kind of Martian burger. But I would be able to trade that coin in for that Big Mac no matter what happened. But yeah, I definitely got to get me some Big Mac coin. At the time, they were actually selling for above the price of a Big Mac. So there was a premium to get the coin. So McDonald's was successful in minting their own coins. It was pretty cool. AR says he has 2, making me jealous in the chat. Shout out to Mal Nai. She's in South Africa. Or maybe he, sorry, apologies. And South Africa is also on lockdown. There's no school. Work is optional. And toilet paper is still available. So excellent update from South Africa. Welcome to the show. Glad to have you here. It's a worldwide crisis, and everybody's going to do our part. And our part seems to be staying home. So stay home. Let's eat that food that we bought. I hope you bought food and everything's cool. Otherwise, got to go out and get food. But after that, stay home. So there you go. Checking out our top stories, the price of Bitcoin. It looks like it's declined a bit while we've been on the air. We had a couple of ups and downs here. Possible M on the chart. Not exactly symmetrical, though, so badly written M. But the price of Bitcoin is up 2.26% in the last 24 hours, with a last of 6,329, a high of 6,927, and a low of $6,088. That's $1 for 15,840 Satoshis. The Dow Jones Industrial Average, drum roll please. I don't have drum roll, I have drum hit. Anyway, it was up at the start. They were really happy. It was up to 20,500. It fell below the previous close and continued falling. Currently, the Dow Jones Industrial Average is down 2.36% in the last 24 hours, with a last of 19,613, down from the previous close of $20,087. The market likely reacting to the news yesterday that California, the world's largest economy, would be closing its doors for at least the next 30 days. Shout out to Moonshine Fuel in the chat. They say that they went grocery shopping here in San Diego, and all essential takeouts were still open. The line to get into the grocery store was metered, and a gal was spraying down the cart handle as you entered. So things normal in San Diego. They've still got food, still buying food, and hopefully once they buy the food, they're going home. It's tough. I know people don't have a lot of money to stock up, and they're worried about a lot of things, but at this point, you'd rather have goods than money. You'd rather have goods than credit. So it's time to flex that credit, time to use that card and get some canned food and stay home. So, and you can get some good food too before it runs out. Coronavirus cases, we checked it earlier. It was 258,000 in the world. I hate to do this, but we're going to push the refresh button. Okay, so it's 268,000 cases in the world. It just went up by 10,000 cases. While we've been doing the show, the deaths went from about 10,000 to 11,000. This is worldometers.info. Not where you want to go and not the numbers you want to see, but we're keeping track of this, and information is sometimes power. Stay the fuck home. StayTheFuckHome.com. If someone you know is not staying the fuck home, send them to StayTheFuckHome.com and maybe they'll stay the fuck home. Sorry to say the F word so many times, but it's trying to command this in, trying to pound this in that, yes, even if it's a conspiracy and blah, 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 and the martial law and whatever, let's fight that on the other side of the virus. Let's get rid of the virus first, then we'll fight all that other stuff out. And otherwise, you should have fought harder before. I don't know. Blah, 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 blah. Like this show. Thanks to so much to everybody for liking this show. Liking this show helps YouTube realize that it's a good show and recommend it to others. So thanks to the 62 people who like this show. Just a quick recap of today's stories. We're still running the Federal Reserve game at thefed.app. It's loading slowly. Will it load in time? I don't think so. But we were having a good time with the Federal Reserve game at thefed.app. We've been checking out the Washington Post coronavirus simulation. Stay home, don't spread the virus, isolate, flatten the curve. Ultimate Medical Hackathon. How fast can we design and deploy an open source ventilator? Hopefully sooner. Shout out to Rad Vladdy. He stocked up on 30-year food storage, freeze-dried in 2009 when he was despondent gold bug. But he almost ran out of TP. I used to have some freeze-dried MREs, but I think they were from the 2008 election or maybe Y2K, and they went bad. I actually gave them to someone who was a camper, and I said, all right, you got to eat these quick because they're going bad, even though they're MREs. So it's not great to be down to MREs already. Hopefully you still got some perishables that you're working your way through, but when it's time to eat the ramen, when it's time to eat the tuna, why not mix them together? Also a great time to learn how to cook. Lots of information on the internet, lots of spices in your cabinet Maybe you've never used them. Now is a great time to combine them together. So, let's see. Thomas in the chat says that there's American students in Miami saying that the coronavirus should not deter them from partying in spring break. He asks if it's true. He's just seen it on Danish TV. I believe it to be true. I've also seen similar reports, and we watched several of the videos yesterday of the kids in spring break still partying. They want to party. They don't care about the virus. They've been told that they won't get sick, which is not really true. And haven't been told enough that they're going to get their relatives sick and so on and so forth. People value their own time and their own experience. They get very selfish. It's a sad representation of our culture. But yeah, there are kids that are still partying on spring break because this is the only spring break 2020 they're going to get, and they're going to party it up. So they're closing the beaches. They're trying to shut it down. They've shut down the businesses. We don't have a nationwide response from the government, so businesses don't know that they should close now to stop spreading the infection. The kids kind of don't know that they're spreading it and that they're killing their relatives and that even they might get sick. But woo, spring break. All right. We're at coronavirus cases in the United States. We're at worldofmeters.info. We're going to refresh the page. 16,600, which is actually a significant raise at this level. That's about 500 up. That's a lot more people. That's our enemy. Fight the enemy. Stay home. And are you stuck at home? Nothing to do? Why not join a live Bitcoin talk show? Hey, you just did. You liked it. You chatted. You called in. It was great. And we're going to try. Maybe we'll do this on weekends because it's a crisis. Sometimes I take weekends off, though. But we're going to be back in just a few hours with the Bitcoin group live at 1 p.m. Pacific time, which is about an hour and a half from now. So very soon. I'm going to go get some lunch, maybe drink some water, have a cough drop, something like that. But we'll be right back here in just a few hours for the Bitcoin group live on the World Crypto Network. You can follow us on Twitter at World CryptoNet. I'm at Mad Bitcoins. You can subscribe down below to this video. Hit the bell for notifications. Give us a thumbs up and a share. And we'll be back soon in about an hour and a half. Until next time, bye-bye.